at St. Mary's, we take pride of having a great devotion to the Holy Spirit. So I really hope, like individual parishioners, you also have a great devotion to the Holy Spirit. Because it is through the Holy Spirit that we will be able to know God, that we will be able to understand Him well. In our first reading today, it says, the Spirit searches everything, even the depths of God. And then it says, no one comprehends what is truly God's except the Spirit of God. That's why Jesus said to His disciples in John chapter 16, verse 13, when the Spirit of truth comes, He will guide you into all the truth. And He sent forth His Spirit, right? He sent forth His Spirit on Pentecost, and the disciples, when they received the Holy Spirit, they were able to understand the teachings of Jesus Christ. And we all, baptized, have received the Spirit of truth. That's why for us, we need to have the Spirit so that we become spiritual. Saint Jose Maria Escriba said this, and I'm reading this from the Navarre Bible. He says this, there are only two possible ways of living on this earth. Only two. Okay? Either we live a supernatural life or we live an animal life. And you and I can only live the life of God, a supernatural life. Okay? So difference between a supernatural life, which is a spiritual life, and also comparing it to an animal life. St. John Chrysostom very graphically contrasts the capacity of the spiritual man and that of the unspiritual man as far as understanding God's plan of salvation is concerned. He said, he who has sight sees everything, including the person who has no sight. But the sightless person cannot see the things of the person who has sight. We Christians know what our own situation is, and we also know the situation of unbelievers. The unbelievers, however, do not understand ours. So we see here the difference between the spiritual and the unspiritual. St. Thomas Aquinas talks about the spiritual as being conscious and awake, whereas the unspiritual is asleep. Okay, and then he said this. St. Thomas Aquinas said this, a conscious person rightly perceives both that he is awake and that the other person is asleep. But the person who's asleep cannot form a correct judgment concerning either himself or the one who is awake. The spiritual man judges all things, for a person whose understanding is enlightened, whose affections are regulated by the Holy Spirit, forms correct judgments on particular matters to do with salvation. He who is unspiritual has a darkened understanding and disordered affection as far as spiritual things are concerned. And therefore, the spiritual man cannot be judged by the unspiritual, just as the sleeping person cannot judge the one who is awake.